Welcome to Great Expectation with Gary and Nick. Morning, bro. How you doing?
Good morning, bro. Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you today?
I'm well. Yeah, so I remember the podcast we did a while ago. We said that love is a decision, not a feeling, which you spoke
Yes.
passionately about. And it's I think what we're not prepared or what we're not educated enough about when it comes to love, it is hard work. It takes effort. It
Mm.
takes investment.
Yeah.
And it's you investing into the relationship. And I really tried to make a distinction clear in couple counselling that I'm investing in a relationship, I'm not taking sides on his side or her side.
Yep.
It's the relationship. And if we
Yes.
don't, we sometimes forget to separate ourselves once to get everything right. It's the relationship that we've got to focus on, not his bad points or her shortcomings. It's the
Yep.
relationship. And it's having enough love to say, let's do all we can to make this relationship work.
Yeah. 100%. And I wish I had a notepad right now because you're saying so many things. I think, oh, I want to discuss that. I want to discuss that. And when you said about giving up, I think there's a conversation to clarify that as well. But what you've just said, yeah, 100%. It's about two people coming together as a team with the relationship being in front of them, not being between them.
Yes.
Like we're not battling against each other because of this thing in the middle. We're battling with each other for the thing in front of us that we're trying to like both improve and both work on. And that's a key mentality shift for couples who, particularly when they come to the counseling room, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, yeah, which side are you going to take? I'm not going to take other than the side of the relationship. And when you two take each other's side and focus on that, there's going to be a shift, which is 100%. And it's no different from when we compare our relationship to our children who we love, and we love them unconditionally, so they have a hidden advantage over brothers.
Yeah.
But because our love for them, it remains regardless of how they behave and the things they do, and they will do things to disappoint, and they will do things to upset us over the years, and there won't be model children at any time, I'm sure, much as we'd like to say ours are. And if they're listening, 100%.
Yeah. My three angels.
But the reality is we always love them, and that's partly a decision and a choice to say this is I'm your dad, I'm going to love you, and when you, even if you push me away, even if you treat me badly, and I've said this to my daughter, if you treated a romantic man in the way you treat your dad, so he may not hang around because he may not feel that
Yeah.
same power of love for you that I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But actually, the right man might, because he'd understand where that's coming from, and it's that. But that's the decision to love, and not
Sure.
just going off the feeling in the moment of, oh,
Yeah.
you did something I don't like. I don't love you anymore. Yeah.
Yes. And you interesting point you've brought up directly with regards to blended families, and I'm sure you could speak into this, bro, whereby, you say with our children it's unconditional love in most cases. And when, let's say a man meets a woman, she's got children, he's got children, if he moves in with her, regards to, let's say, priority, want of a better word, the love for the children, the man's is second to the children
Yeah.
because she's with the children, if they're her children, not shared them together. So there's a different love naturally, but equally, he knows he's not going there on equal footing.
Yes.
And it works the same other way around. And that must have caused so much because it's like, where's my place? And it's
Mhm.
how much do you love me? You're
Yeah.
comparing. You love
Yeah.
them more than me.
Well, bro, you're like touching all my sensitive points right now. You're trying to trigger me, right?
No.
It's all right. Doing my grounding
No,
exercise. I'm all
okay.
good.
I feel it must be so hard because whoever that person is, whether it's the woman or the guy, it's you can't feel completely safe
Yeah. No,
because naturally that love is going to be stronger and have a higher place than their love with you.
yes, and 100%, bro. It's something I've struggled with in my blended marriage, 100%. And I think when we also coming from a place of a Christian faith as well, where it's like, mum and dad should love each other beyond anyone, and it's that kind of mentality.
Yeah,
But then when you go into that marriage where there are already children, that relationship between parent and child is there, it's strong, and someone comes into that situation, then it is a challenge, and it took me a while to accept that I wasn't going to be priority. over the children. I'd like to be priority over the dog. Um, another topic, another
Ooh,
topic.
I'm not too sure there, bro. I think you might be equal.
I think I'd say equal some days, but yeah, I think accepting that
Yeah.
it is a challenge, and I don't know whether it's more well, for me, maybe male ego again. Maybe that was more of a challenge than it was for my wife, because she knew where my kids came in my world as well.
Yeah.
So, and I think I kind of landed on a spot where, in a way, they take different priorities as well. And so I'm not necessarily going to, we could talk about how you back your partner in front of the kids, etc. And I
Mm.
think you should still be doing that. So in that moment, they are a priority,
Yeah.
and then you'll have the conversations offline with them if you didn't agree with them. Otherwise, you create a real divide, which isn't healthy. But there's a reality that says people love their kids beyond anything, and that that in this world of blended marriages, blended relationships, that's how it's going to be, and we probably need to readjust our expectations, fitting word, to that when we go into a blended marriage and realize that, look, I may not be the top priority, and the kids may take priority over me. I'd like to be pretty close to that, but I've got to have a reality check on myself that says, okay, that's okay. That doesn't mean she doesn't love me. It doesn't mean she doesn't want to be with me. It means that these people that she birthed are still her number one, and she would give her life for them, and she probably wouldn't give her life for me. And I get that.
See, I struggle with that. I really would struggle with that. And you can call it the ego to know that you're in a relationship, adult relationship, and you two of you choosing to spend your life together, but knowing they'll take a bullet for the children, but they wouldn't necessarily for you.
Mm,
And naturally, older people say, "Oh, but you do anything for your children." And you think about the principle, the children come from the adults, okay, from the parents. You give your life to that in that relationship, and really the model should be set. Mum and dad, let's say it's not a blended family, it's an idyllic. Mum and dad, wow, their love for each other. They put each other first. So if there's an issue, I'm saving mum first. Not even what mum, wife, husband, they're the priority. You guys are second. Doesn't mean we don't love you, and doesn't mean we'll do anything for you, but it's mum or it's wife, it's husband. And in families whereby you say, don't speak to your mum like that. You're letting them know, no, that's that's my wife you're talking to about like that. You don't do it. And
mm,
imagine that could be the same in a blended family where you're thinking, okay, that's your mum, you're not my child, but that's my wife.
yeah, yeah,
Or that's my husband. And that's where
yeah,
it becomes messy. And I think it's about we're told, oh yeah, your children, your children, your children. And I love my children, isn't there anything I would do for them? There is a however.
mm,
It's Sarah should be first.
mm,
When I play that out, I don't know, but she should be first. I've had arguments with Sarah by thinking I haven't felt first, but then she'll say the girls will say to her, "Oh, you always listen to dad, or you put dad first," and I'm thinking, well, yes, that should be the way
mm.
in a healthy environment. So priority,
Yes, and I think it's got because we live in a messy world, and so, what is it? 50% of marriages break down.
yeah,
We have got we've got mess now that is much harder to navigate than that idealistic family model where you've kind of have got a natural hierarchy, and we broke that. And the one of the, I guess, consequences is that grey area. And I think there are blended relationships where husband and wife will still put each other first. And I've seen it, and I've seen the cost to the children because that harms the relationship with the children.
why does it harm?
I think one of the harms, bro, is that when you look at what's happened is you have a divorce, and after the divorce you have single mum, single dad, hopefully for more than like a week or two, because you always encourage a little bit of time out.
Yeah,
And during that single period, the children get a lot of focus. They become a priority, even more than they were. And a
yeah,
lot of people would say they develop better relationships with their kids after a marriage breakdown, which again is really sad. And we could talk about that in another topic, but there's a reality. So now you have this situation where let's take a mum and her daughter, and they're like best friends, and they're really close. And then a man comes into the house, and mum, rather than starting to talk to her daughter about everything, is going to her
Mm.
new husband,
Yeah.
and daughter feels left out, pushed aside, no longer the priority that she felt for
Yeah.
however long mum was on her own. And she has her back put out and thinks, huh, I don't like this guy because I preferred my relationship with my mum before he came along.
Mm.
So she would blame him as the reason that she doesn't feel as close to mum, and that creates tension in the house. And it obviously works on the other side as well.
Sure.
Um, so I think that is typically what's going on, is that someone is getting in the way of what was a newly created closer relationship.
Absolutely right. Because let's say, using your example, they've divorced, the dad's no longer there, the husband's no longer there, or the man. There's a vacancy.
Yeah,
And normally the eldest child or one child will take that vacancy whereby the mum and dad will start speaking to them more, confiding in
yeah,
them more. And you see it the other way as well in a counselling room whereby they'll say as an adult later, my mum or dad shared too much with me. No, I wasn't a child enough because I knew a lot. They used to tell me, and I
yeah,
felt like I was their counsellor. They'll put their burdens onto me. So there's tension both ways. But equally, I
yeah,
understand. Remember when I was growing up and single parents and people thinking, oh, it's going to be difficult for my mum to marry again because of Gary. And
mm,
I knew I took that place, and I'm thinking, I'm going to make it very hard for you
yeah,
if I
yeah,
don't like you or not what because
exactly.
I knew a lot more because my mum would speak to me.
Yes. Yeah. Plus you've got the protective element.
Yeah,
Like you might have seen your mum get hurt from the first breakup with your
yeah,
dad. And then it's like, well, I'm not going to see you go through that again, mum.
yeah,
So any red flags I see in this new bloke, I'm letting you know.
yeah,
And he's not your dad.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
don't have that natural bond with this new
yeah,
man. He's just coming in. And depending on if we take that situation, depending on your age, you are becoming the man of the house.
yeah,
And another man wants to just walk into your house and be
yeah,
the man of the house.
yeah,
And there we've got a clash of
yeah,
two men, two male egos, and another reason why you're going to have. So there's so many things at play. And then the mum might say, well, I need to prioritize my relationship with my child because I don't want to lose that. Because the reality is that the new relationship that might fail. You've gone through one divorce.
yeah.
You now understand the reality that says it might not be forever. The happy ever after might not be ever after. And I think that probably plays in the mind as well. Whereas my kids are my kids forever. So does that also
Mm.
play out to think, well, if I kind of alienate my children because I make my new partner my priority and then that breaks down, how are my children going to feel if I'm suddenly like, oh, we can be besties again now?
The challenge that I understand reality, but it's still we put too much emphasis on the children because the children are going to grow up and leave.
Yes, they are.
And is that the model that we should be setting to say you prioritize the children because they will then have their own relationship, they'll have children. As soon as a child comes along in their mind, well, they're the most important and you're not.
Mm,
And speaking from a male perspective, the number of men who feel second place after a child comes along, or they don't feel that love anymore, and they think, oh,
yep,
great, the attention's gone, the focus is gone, it's now on this child, and it's
yep,
no longer on me. And I'm thinking about my nan as you're talking. Her husband died when she was really young, early 30s. She was 28. She had 5 children, and she never married again, never had another relationship because her priority was, I don't want another man coming in to look after my 5 children. She then said if she had her time again, she would have changed it because they all grew up and left. She was on her own.
yep,
Yeah, they'll come and visit, but it
yep.
doesn't replace. And I think that it's not necessarily the right message because our children should be mature enough to say, as you said, natural bond or your house, we can never be separated. But you're going to grow up and leave.
And it's absolutely true. And I think, a lot of it depends on the age of the child when the first divorce happens,
Yeah.
the way the divorce is conducted, the way the new relationship is managed, all the way through to getting to get like move cohabiting or getting married, depending on where you go with that. A lot of it depends on all of those steps as to how it's done. And then looking at, I think the concept of priority varies as well in terms of, yeah, you can almost make both parties feel like a priority,
Yeah.
you shouldn't very often have to put one above the other. When we think about it, it's kind of trying to work out what making them a priority might actually look like.
Yeah, so there's going to be seasons whereby, the focus needs to be on the child or the children, but you feel loved. But thinking about Sarah's grandparents, I mean, they were married, what, 60 plus years? And their children knew Sarah's dads and her brothers and sisters. Mum and dad were one. That was a
Mm.
priority. It was almost like the model love.
Yeah,
The children knew they were loved, but it was like their love comes first. And it was fine. It worked. They just knew like, wow, this is how a marriage should be.
yeah.
The children are the fruit of that love.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, and that's where I think it's slightly distorted. You're the fruit of our love. You're not.
Yeah, yes. But that's where the slight challenge comes, because the children they're still the fruit of the love of a blended family, because there's love in that family,
Yeah,
but because they're not born of both parents,
yeah,
then there's definitely challenges. I mean,
yeah,
it's 100% achievable to get through that period and come out with good relationship with your partner still, and good relationship with your children. And the key, I think, when we talk about priorities, what came to mind is, let's say, because I prioritize my children over my new wife, let's say I go out and I spend a ton of money on my kids because they needed it, so to speak, without
yeah,
checking, agreeing with my wife. That's me prioritizing my children, but I am deeply damaging my marriage in that moment.
yeah,
That would be something I'd say, don't do that. That's not how you prioritize children,
yeah.
because you've just lost all trust with your wife.
Mm.
So it's understand again. It's like I say, it's balancing. What does prioritization mean?
Yes, and that, at times we all feel insecure, and these situations, can make us feel insecure in terms of going back to that word position. Where's my position?
Mm,
Where my place? Okay.
yes.
And then sometimes you've got the ex involved. You may even feel lower than the ex because they're still the mother or the father. So you feel like you've got the children, the ex is still there,
Yeah.
then the dog, or then it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think and that's a key point. And I was just before you were saying that, I thought this is a key point, is that if you manage the relationship well and you make each other feel special, then there should be more freedom to do the other stuff that
Yeah.
doesn't like leave one person feeling deprioritized. And it's probably because the relationship is in a place where it's not strong enough, that then you focusing on your children in a moment rather than your partner leaves your partner feeling deeply unloved and deeply insecure. They were probably already feeling that before you did that thing. So they're not full. And therefore, some of your actions, which wouldn't have hurt them, are suddenly causing them to question everything.
Yes, I'm in agreement. And a key word you've mentioned a few times is priority. And at the beginning of a relationship, we make that other person a priority. The text message, we'll pick it up, we'll respond,
Yes.
we'll stay on the phone for hours, we'll cancel other plans to be with them. You are a priority.
Yes.
And then after a while, it starts, okay, take a bit longer to
Normalizing.
respond. Yeah.
Yeah. And that loops nicely back to when you were talking about giving up, and talking about the two become one.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure people that listen to that might say, "Oh, well, I don't just want to give up myself to be with someone else." And I think, the important message is that one of being one, and you give up part of yourself to be in a relationship, but shouldn't lose your identity. You shouldn't lose who you are, and we shouldn't lose our independence, because I think a healthy relationship is kind of interdependent, where you're both
Yeah.
independent, but you're both wanting to be together. You don't want to be dependent on each other for the wrong reasons, because that's called needy. And you don't want to be so independent that there's actually no relationship there, because you don't need or want to be with each other in any way, shape, or form. And it's a real balance again. But again, yeah, when we get into a relationship initially, we make sure we always respond, even though we're really busy doing something else. We'll carve out a quick minute to reply to a text, or we'll give up other things that we're passionate about to prioritize our partner. And then we'll go into a normal flow where we bring back the things that we're passionate about, and our partner thinks, I didn't know that about him. I didn't realize he wanted
Yeah,
to watch so much football or play so much golf or go to the gym so much. It's, you
yeah.
know, but that comes back to the title of the podcast, expectations, right? Great expectations
Yeah.
is we should probably be more realistic from the outset. And then we can still find that happy place. We can still find love, but we can do it with a reality state that says, I know what I'm getting myself into.
Mm. Important points were raised today in regards to blended families and priorities and positioning. And so, if any of these, forced you to ask questions about yourself, your relationship, the family dynamics, or where you need support, feel free to reach out either directly to the Gap Counselling. There's loads of support and materials there.
100%.
Right. So, thank you, bro.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me
Another
as
great,
usual.
another great topic.